everyone, this is Paul Gale from PaulGaleNetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for Video Game Talk. It is February 16th, 2021, and this is today's topic, Nintendo Direct. It's happening, finally, tomorrow. Man, this morning, Nintendo announced on its social media platforms the following. Nintendo Direct, 2/17/2021, 2 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and the following. Tune in 2/17 at 2 p.m. Pacific Time for a Nintendo Direct live stream featuring roughly 50 minutes of information focused on available games like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and games coming to Nintendo Switch in the first half of 2021. Wow, what a way to wake up. It was the first thing I saw this morning when I went on my phone, checked Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, whichever one happened to be first, and I was just blown away. I'm like, am I dreaming? Is this real? This is the moment that we've been waiting for so long. The last Nintendo Direct we had was September 4th, 2019. That's 530 days ago. And that was a 38-minute, 45-second long presentation, which was pretty lengthy. And that's around the time that the full-length Nintendo Directs are, plus or minus 40 minutes, including the presentations that they have at E3, around 40 minutes or so in length. You know, it's not like we've had nothing from Nintendo in the last year and a half since this last Nintendo Direct, but they've all been Indie World showcases, Nintendo Mini Directs, or Direct Minis, if you will. You know, Nintendo Direct Mini third-party partner showcase events, sudden drops on Twitter of Paper Mario the Origami King trailer. You know, we've had Pokemon Directs. We've had plenty of Super Smash Bros. DLC presentations with Mr. Masahiro Sakurai. All of these are great, you know. Mario 35th Anniversary Celebration, you know, Lego information dropping, Levi's information dropping, some in video form, some in just, you know, here's a promotional piece, check it out at the following company's website that we're teaming up with, like Puma, etc. But as great as the Indie World showcases and everything else that I just mentioned are, there's nothing quite like a Nintendo Direct. This is where the heavy hitters come out. This is the one where, you know, you have a lot of presentation behind it. You know, in the past we've had Mr. Iwata, Reggie Fils-Aimé, Mr. Shigeru Miyamoto, Mr. Masahiro Sakurai, Doug Bowser, and plenty of other people from Nintendo's world come on screen, sometimes people from third parties coming on screen to present a game, make a big announcement, reveal a partnership. This is going to be awesome. This is also where you see some sizzle reels, and in the sizzle reels sometimes they have just a couple of dozen, you know, from smaller to mid-sized to kind of big games that get shown off for the first time. There are certain ones, you know, a dozen or so perhaps, that will take the most amount of time. Usually Nintendo opens these with a big game to get you excited, right off the bat. Dunk dunk. Maybe they'll start off with a Super Smash Bros. Trailer, hard to say. Maybe they'll start off with a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild successor trailer. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to kick this off, but I'm excited and I will be live streaming. They also oftentimes end this with, thank you for enjoying the presentation, or thank you for watching the presentation today. We hope you enjoyed it. By the way, there's one last thing. Please watch the following. And then that's like the epic thing that every Nintendo fan hopes to get from this presentation, from all of the presentations, is that one last thing, you know? I have a feeling you're going to see lots of hashtag Nintendo Directs tomorrow all across the social media platforms. I know I will. I'm hyped. I'm hyped to the max for this. Oh, what I wanted to do in today's video is give a little bit of speculation on what I think we might see, what I want to see. A couple of those are a couple of different things, what I would be happy with. Honestly, 50 minutes is a long time. This is upwards of being the longest Nintendo Direct, and I'm just stoked. Okay, let's get into a talk here, right? 15 minutes of information focused on available games like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and games coming to Nintendo Switch in the first half of 2021. And roughly 50 minutes. That roughly 50 minutes means I think it'll be anywhere from, 49 minutes and 28 seconds to 51 minutes and 30 seconds, right? Somewhere in that range. That's good news. Available games like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. For starters, I think tomorrow is a given that we're going to get the next DLC character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Who could it be? We've got Crash 4 coming to Nintendo Switch in March. If Crash Bandicoot was announced as the next playable character, I think that would be huge. Crash was big back in the 90s. He was on the opposing platform of PlayStation, and at the time he was an exclusive character, and eventually he made his way to GameCube and Wii and Xbox and so forth, and these days on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and soon to be Xbox Series S, X, PlayStation 5. So Crash still holds some weight in the video game industry. It's nice seeing him everywhere, but certainly back in the day, he was a PlayStation character. So for him, in a lot of people's minds, being, that's that old school start, that's that rivalry. For him to be in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I think that would be a monumental get for Nintendo. You're looking at the heavy mascots here. Mario, Sonic, Crash. Those are the three heavy hitters in the 90s, all being represented in one game. And you add to that, Pac-Man, another big one. And I could keep going on and on. We've got Mega Man, we've got Solid Snake, we've got Cloud Strife, we've got Ryu. There are plenty of third-party, first-party characters in this game that are big. I don't need to go into that in too much detail, but I think Crash would be really big and appropriate for tomorrow's Nintendo Direct. I'm also a personal believer in getting some more West Coast representation. I would not mind seeing Scorpion for Mortal Kombat. I'm not saying, he's got to keep his, mature rated move set and be impaling people with his spear, but his spear, his get over here, could go and wrap around a character and come here and pull them in. His final smash move could be something of hellfire going on and a silhouette of punching a character up and then, sparkles coming out instead of blood or something like that. His stage, it could be epic. It could be a forest stage like for Mortal Kombat 2. It could be the pit, and the pit could look, kind of scary, but not with blood and gore and too much death or bones coming around. But if you fall down, maybe there would be a little bit of a longer drop in the stage and see kind of some pixel remains of characters. Hard to say exactly, but they could totally make Scorpion work. He's the most popular character from the Mortal Kombat franchise, and I would love to see Scorpion in the game. I would also love to see Doomguy or Doomslayer, a character from the West. Once again, some people look at that character and say, how would you put his moveset into the game? What kind of weapons would you use? Well, you've got Solid Snake. He's an M-rated character that's known for killing people, and Bayonetta, a game that has plenty of violence in it as well. Don't forget, Bayonetta 2 exclusively on Nintendo Switch. We had Bayonetta wearing some pretty scandalous, revealing costumes. We had her be able to summon Bowser to smash and obliterate blood everywhere characters in the game, right? With his foot stomp and with his fists. So it's not like Nintendo wouldn't allow something like that in one of their games. Now, this is a T-rated game, but still, Nintendo's more open than you think. If you're thinking like, there's no way that they would allow Doomslayer in it. You don't have to have blood and guts going everywhere. You don't have to have the chainsaw, but you could have some cool explosive weapons and lots of blasts of green and red and purple and oranges and stuff like that come out of him, and some bombs. If they could make Bayonetta work, if they could make Solid Snake work, they can make Doomslayer work. I wouldn't mind seeing, Okay, a couple of really big ones. Probably the most impactful would be somebody like the pair of Ratchet and Clank, Kratos from God of War, or Halo's Master Chief. I think of those three, Master Chief could potentially be the most likely, just because it seems that Nintendo and Microsoft's relationship is perhaps better than Nintendo's and Sony's, but that would be a really nice get. However, the rule is you have to be a video game character in your origin, which means somebody like Goku is probably never going to happen unless if that rule changes down the road. Because I would love Goku in Dragon Ball from Dragon Ball Z fame in Super Smash Brothers, but I don't think that's going to happen this time around at least. But you know, you have to be a video game character. Okay, Master Chief is, but you also have to have appeared on a Nintendo platform. And the only version of Master Chief that has officially appeared, you could say, is, well, in Fortnite, right? So by that extension, Master Chief could be in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate thanks to his inclusion in Fortnite. But what would be even bigger is if simultaneously during this Nintendo Direct, when they would hypothetically reveal Master Chief as a playable character, it's also shown off that, Halo Master Chief Collection is coming to Nintendo Switch first, right? Or day and date. Big blockbuster announcement. It would be one of the biggest announcements ever in Nintendo Direct history. Whether you're a Halo fan or not, whether you care about Master Chief or not, that dual announcement, however they would do it in whichever order, here's the character. By the way, you might be wondering, isn't one of the rules that the character had to be on a Nintendo platform? Yes, he's in Fortnite, but we have one more thing to show you why this makes sense. And then boom, Master Chief Collection. Yes, it's coming out the following date, and then boom, Master Chief coming out in Smash Brothers the day later. Something like that. Like that would be one of the biggest things ever in a Nintendo Direct. Same thing with God of War, Kratos. Also a character in Fortnite, playable on Nintendo Switch, technically possible, technically eligible. Likely? No, I'd say less likely than Master Chief. However, they could do a similar thing. Here is Kratos from God of War. You might be wondering, how is one of the main biggest characters in the industry that is on the competition side capable of being in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on Nintendo Switch? Don't they have to be a playable character in a version of a game on the platform? Enjoy the following. Bah, God of War 1, 2, and 3 remastered versions being ported to the Nintendo Switch eShop. Something like that. Like I said, it's far-fetched. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's that likely, but that would also be huge. What would be bigger to you? Kratos or Master Chief? I guess that also asks the question, what would be the bigger news announcement? Halo Master Chief Collection coming to Nintendo Switch in order to make Halo's Master Chief viable in Smash Brothers, or God of War's Kratos coming, but in order for him to come, something like the God of War original trilogy coming to Nintendo Switch in an HD remastered trilogy set. Both pretty exciting, but they're both a little bit farther out there, so to be safe, I think if we saw somebody like Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden tomorrow, that would be cool. Or Crash Bandicoot, that would be cool. I'd love to see another female fighter. Lara Croft would be epic. She's one of the most powerful, successful women in all of gaming. She had a long run in her original self, had a remake, and then in the 2010s had another reboot, and that's been a successful trilogy so far. We'll see if she continues. She's had 3 movies, a 4th movie's on the way. Cultural icon. The name Lara Croft is as big as Tomb Raider. The two go hand in hand with each other, and I think Lara Croft would be a really good fit. She's a gunslinger. Could give her a whip. could change the look of her between the couple of different models, like old school, maybe even an old school polygon set. If you don't go that route, at least the character costume of the old school look, maybe a snow gear look, one of the new looks, with the little more toned down colors in the outfit and whatnot. I don't know. Lara Croft would be huge. And that's all my talk on Smash Brothers. We're going to be here for a while, so thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around. Other available games like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. See, other games. That means other games that are already out. Games like Smash Bros. Ultimate. First that comes to mind is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow, man, is it too much to ask for that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe would get a new set of tracks available? Maybe some tracks free for everyone, and like 4 new tracks coming free for everyone, 16 more coming as paid DLC, 20 new tracks in total. I don't know, is that too much to ask? It's a game that has sold so well, over 30 million copies, that if they're not going to do a Mario Kart 9 anytime soon, because really they could just keep churning out millions and millions of sales from this, but they want to please the fans that, like, you've been here on this Mario Kart 8 journey from back in Wii U. So for you, it's not just been a 4-year wait, but you're looking at 5, 6, 7-year wait since you've last had an official Mario Kart numbered game that wasn't home circuit and that wasn't tour on smartphones. Here's a little reward, a thank you for waiting around. Reasonably priced, for the 16 new courses, it's $12, right? I don't know, something around that $12 to $20 range. New characters coming with it. Obviously, the 4 free courses, that's just for everybody. Something along those lines. A game like Smash Brothers is not a fighting game. No, it's a racing game, but it's an evergreen title. It's a Nintendo first-party IP title. That would be cool. Super Mario Odyssey is another one that comes to mind. Aside from the Luigi expansion and the Nintendo Labo VR expansion, Super Mario Odyssey seems like a logical game to get a couple more lands to explore, and in those lands, some more enemies to take control of with Cappy, new bosses, a bunch of new power moons to collect. Here's the $20 DLC add-on, and it gives you, 4 new worlds. That's an exciting possibility. Age of Calamity, right? Hyrule Warriors was a terrific game that came out last year. I loved it. I had so much fun with this. The original Hyrule Warriors on Wii U had a good amount of DLC that got trickled out, over a few waves, namely new characters. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity was such a tight, well-knit game, especially with its story and characters being introduced along through it, and making sense as to when you would start playing as them, and they all kind of had their spot in the story in this journey. That what would they add if it's getting DLC? A couple of new areas to explore, maybe a little teaser of what to expect in Breath of the Wild's successor, some underground stuff, just letting us play as things that don't make sense, things that aren't canon in this case, but just like a version of Ganondorf, that'd be cool. A version of Sheik. Different costumes for Link to have. An Ocarina of Time look, young Link, cel-shaded Wind Waker look. I don't know if they're going to go that route, though, with this game and just have a bunch of characters that, aren't canon to this game's story, because this game is canon to the series. It is canon to being the prequel to Breath of the Wild. But I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw that. Of course, I know a lot of people are hoping for some DLC to Super Mario Party. I can see that as a possibility. But really, outside of Smash Brothers, I'm thinking Mario Kart, Super Mario Odyssey, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and then maybe Super Mario Party. Any one of those games to get some DLC, they all have well-established audiences. I think it would be great. Ring Fit Adventure, even perhaps, that game's creeping up there into being a really high-selling title, and I think it's just gonna keep going on in 2021. It's a fantastic game. It's already had some free DLC come with the music option modes. Play Jump Up Superstar in it and whatnot, and that's fun. Splatoon 2? Is that a possible candidate? It's been a while since we've got anything major. It doesn't look like we were going to get anything else. And then we got another surprise from Nintendo saying, some Splatfests are coming, even through 2021. So could Splatoon 2 possibly get a couple of new stages at this point in the game? Maybe. Draw some more Splatoon interest up now because of potential, inevitable, I would say, Splatoon 3 is coming out. ARMS bring a little more attention to it by, introducing a third-party character, Dalsim from Street Fighter, coming. That would be cool. That would be big. I think we're going to get something from other games. Of course, we know that here, besides Smash Brothers, but something comparable to what I said, I wouldn't be too surprised, and I would personally love. Okay, now, and games coming to Nintendo Switch in the first half of 2021. We've got Monster Hunter Rise, March 26th. Huge game. It looks great. It plays great. It's going to be big. It's getting an exclusive Nintendo Switch unit for some territories in the world. I think they're going to give it a final trailer probably. If there's anything that's a surprise in the game that hasn't been officially announced yet by Capcom, I wouldn't be surprised if that gets announced tomorrow. Monster Hunter Rise. Okay. New Pokemon Snap. I say that new Pokemon Snap is probably safe to see tomorrow as well. That's an April game. Bravely Default 2. We've got a demo of that, so I could see one final glimpse of that tomorrow. That game, it could potentially be in this sizzle reel, where we're getting several seconds of footage per game, and we're getting 20 games in it, though. I don't know if they want to show too much more like the story or gameplay. I could see them giving a reminder tomorrow, perhaps, of, remember, Super Mario and its 35th anniversary. The celebration is coming to an end, so you have roughly a month and a half left to go to pick up Super Mario 3D All-Stars before it is no longer being made available on the eShop and will slowly run out of stock at participating retail outlets, right? And likewise, a reminder that Super Mario Brothers 35 on the eShop will be coming down soon too. Also, maybe they could plug Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury as a reminder of this game just came out. So if you're missing that Mario action, now's your time to get it. And if you want it to continue, be sure to pick up 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Or, here's a little bit of an interesting idea. What if tomorrow Nintendo said, due to the overwhelming success that has been Super Mario 3D All-Stars and the fans asking for more, to give us more time to pick it up, budgets, so forth, holiday games, trying to get priorities straight, etc. We've decided to give it another 6 months on the market, and as a result, Super Mario 3D All-Stars as well as Super Mario 35 will be made available until September 30th this year. This way, Nintendo got to have a really big front-loaded sales for 3D All-Stars, and now as people are finishing up buying these copies, they could enjoy another healthy several months, or even say we've decided to let it go until December 31st. That way they could, capitalize on the Black Friday and the holiday Christmas sales and so forth. That could be possible. If I had to guess between the two, it would make more sense to have Super Mario 3D All-Stars be available longer, since that's the one that makes money, as opposed to Super Mario 35, which is a free gift. Maybe we'll see Jump Rope be thrown in there as a little update on it. But that's kind of my thoughts on that. So that kind of does it for the first half of 2021 that's sizey that we know about. I think we'll get some Super Goals and Ghosts, Capcom's new game coming out exclusively for Nintendo Switch. Old school, but with new school conventions and so forth. And then beyond that, what's left for the first 6 months? And I guess this is where the speculation time comes. I want to do this kind of in 2 waves. What could be the first 6 months, and what could they just show off tomorrow? We've got No More Heroes 3 coming out. This happens to be just the image of No More Heroes, but we've got No More Heroes 3 coming out this year. Could it be shown off tomorrow? I think it's pretty likely. Just because Nintendo said games like Smash Brothers and titles coming out in the first half doesn't mean that's it. We have had Nintendo Directs before, Nintendo presentations at E3 before, where they say focusing on the second half of the year of 2019, of 2018, and so forth. But they show something that's a year or a year and a half, 2 years, in advance away to get that extra hype. Usually that's that last game kind of thing. So I don't think the show is going to close one last thing, No More Heroes 3, but that could be present tomorrow. Could we get a surprise and have it be, released before June 30th? Have that announcement? Possible. Could something from Nintendo come out regarding Pokemon tomorrow? We're celebrating 25th anniversary of Pokemon. We've got a lot of things coming up. We've got concert, as you can see here, Post Malone. We've got rumors of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl coming out. Could the Diamond and Pearl remakes be released somewhere around May? That would be a first half title. Or would that make more sense to have come out in the November/December time period? I don't know if a Diamond Pearl remake in May makes sense, because we have new Pokemon Snap in April. So I could see Diamond and Pearl being shown off tomorrow. 1, 2, saved for its own Pokemon Direct. Or 3, if it's shown off tomorrow and not in the first half, which I don't think it will be, too close to Snap, at least shown off tomorrow and be released sometime in 2021. That's possible. Another candidate for tomorrow, Shin Megami Tensei 5, one of the first games shown off for Nintendo Switch. It's getting a simultaneous worldwide release in 2021. A lot of work from Atlas and Sega is riding on this one. It's going to be a big exclusive for Nintendo Switch. I'm very proud of them for nailing this. It was one of the first games, like I said, revealed for the system back in 2017, which is wild. It's 4 years coming. Could this be a first half of the year game? Don't know. We know it's coming out in 2021 though, so that's already big. That's already solid. Of the 3 I said so far, Shin Megami Tensei 5, No More Heroes 3, one of those 2 I think will come out in the first half. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, if that is true, if they do come out, I would say probably the November-December time frame. Another big one. Oh, this one. I want it so badly. I want to see what is Platinum Games cooking. This is a title that we haven't seen in a while. A few years ago at the Game Awards, little 30-second clip or so of Bayonetta seemingly getting chopped up and falling in interesting position, interesting pieces. If we get Bayonetta 3 tomorrow, and confirmation that it's coming out this year, that would be big enough for me that the whole Nintendo Direct is a win. If we see Bayonetta 3 story trailer with some gameplay footage, and that whole segment of Bayonetta 3 is like 2.5 minutes long, and it says coming October 31st, 2021. Boom. The big holiday, not big holiday, the big Halloween title like Luigi's Mansion 3 was a couple of years ago. That was awesome. Came out on Halloween night on Nintendo Switch. So Bayonetta 3, if it's there tomorrow, I would think later half of 2021. Is it big enough to be a show closer? Yeah, Bayonetta 3's pretty powerful, pretty anticipated. I could see that happening. Next up, Metroid. You know, it's the 35th anniversary of Metroid in general, as it came out in 1986 in Japan, but not until 1987 in the United States, which its 35th anniversary here would be next year, right? 2022. I don't know if Metroid Prime 4 will be ready for this November. To be safe, I'm going to say no. When the development shifted over from the previous developer to eventually Retro Studios, we don't know if it was completely scratched and started from the beginning right here, in which it's going to take a longer time to be finished, or were they able to use some of the assets that the previous developer had? Some character models, some polygon work, some soundtracks put together, a couple of boss designs, some sketches for armor and upgrades, any gameplay that was able to be salvaged or not. If some of those things were in place, some voice acting from some characters, some sound effects, like I said, you know, that could help speed up the process, not to make Retro Studios rush, but, you know, depending on how much is salvaged, if any, I could see that the game could come out this year, but it wouldn't be a first half. It would be a, you know, October through December time frame, in my opinion, if it's even ready. If there's one game on this list so far that I wouldn't put my money on, though, it would be Metroid Prime 4, as much as I would love to see it. But that doesn't mean that nothing is available from Metroid on Nintendo Switch this year. This game right here, Metroid Samus Returns. I would be very happy to see Nintendo bring the 3DS build of this game onto Nintendo Switch. You know, this game came out when Nintendo Switch was already out, right? And, you know, I bought it. I was happy as can be to play it. It was a beautiful game. 100%ed it. But with my Nintendo Switch being a 6-month-old platform at the time, enjoying 720p, beautiful 6.1-inch screen on the go and on the TV, and that convenience of it, when this game came out on 3DS, I played it and had a wonderful time. 100%ed it, like I said, on my new Nintendo 3DS XL, my Majora's Mask new Nintendo 3DS XL to be specific. But I was like, I kind of wish this was on Nintendo Switch. I enjoyed the 3D stereoscopic visuals, yeah, but I think this game being on Nintendo Switch would have made a bigger impact. So if this gets ported to Switch, I could see this being a first half of 2021 title. Cartridge, maybe. Digital, more likely. Perhaps both. I can see that happening. Metroid Prime Trilogy. Oof. You see, if you're Nintendo, you want to build up hype for Metroid Prime 4. So you want to have Metroid Prime Trilogy strategically placed not too far from Metroid Prime 4 because you don't want the hype to die down, but not too close because you don't want the sales to eat into one another. But having them released the same calendar year, or, you know, within like a 6 to 10 month window perhaps, sounds about right. So if Metroid Prime Trilogy does come out this year, this is where I'm torn. I could see that pack being not too big that it could be a surprise April, May title for Nintendo Switch. Metroid Prime Trilogy, great. But that would indicate that, Metroid Prime 4 is late 2021, early 2022, and I just don't know if I see that. Unless if it's, okay, we're going to do this game. Here we have Metroid Samus Returns, in April. We have Metroid Prime Trilogy in October. But is it big enough to announce that far out? Perhaps, and that depends on what exactly they're doing with it. And then Metroid Prime 4 sometime 2022. And that's how they end the show, with Metroid Prime 4 coming next year. Finally, some video footage, both story and gameplay. That would be epic. It would be megaton, truly. Now, Metroid Prime Trilogy, it's something that's already been done, right? We got it many years ago. But we're talking HD here. We're talking bringing it up to high definition standards, making all 3 games available in 16:9 widescreen, keeping that 60 frames per second, 1080p. At the very least, that $60, well worth it. But what if Nintendo remade Metroid Prime, and if Retro Studios is in charge, let's go with them, or another developer that's competent, whomever that would be, correct? Let's go with, the task for Metroid Prime was, let's remake this one. Not Resident Evil 2 style, not Final Fantasy VII Remake style, but Spyro the Dragon Trilogy style. So what I'm getting at is, same game, same layout, but everything's repainted. Everything is totally fresh. Bringing the visuals to a new standard. New polygons, new texture work, new lighting. Same way that you navigate, same corridors, all that stuff. Just a graphical repainting overhaul. That's what I would like. Metroid Prime 1, that's the treatment it gets in this trilogy. 2 and 3, they're straight up ports of, the original games, but in 1080p visual resolution, 60 frames per second, 16:9, and that would be cool. And I think that would be worth mentioning now that it comes out later in the year. Otherwise, if you're just mentioning now that the regular Metroid Prime Trilogy comes out later in this year and it's just, HD ports of the original, I'm like, at that point, isn't it just ready to just drop at any time? Not that much work had to be done on it to make us wait that much longer for it, Although that would also indicate that, hey, Metroid Prime 4 might be, less than a year out. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some Metroid. I mean, I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I guarantee you, tomorrow, even if any of my predictions are true tonight, I'm still going to be blowing through the roof. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're getting Metroid. We're getting Zelda. What? That was crazy. Like, oh man, so I'm just having fun talking about these different potential things shown and how I would like to see them, what I would love to see, and what I think we might see. So I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if we see Metroid, but I would be surprised if we see Metroid at the same time. Next up, The Legend of Zelda. You heard me mention it before. 35th anniversary. Very funny too, because just yesterday, I didn't let it slip. I purposely said it. I mentioned in my Video Game News with Paul Gale Network conversation that I got some rumors that we were getting a Zelda-specific direct of some sort, some capacity, sometime between this Sunday on the 20th, February 20th, between this Sunday and next Saturday, potentially, because the 21st in Japan is the 35th anniversary itself of the first Legend of Zelda game that came out in Japan. And the timing sets up right that, 20th in the evening in the United States, Sunday, is the 21st in Japan, or early morning 21st in the United States on the West Coast is still technically the 21st in Japan. And then, we could get something from Zelda. I heard that something's coming. I didn't know it was a Nintendo Direct. I don't know if that still is coming. I mean, there could be two things. Or potentially that Zelda news of the little rumor I heard is being integrated into this Nintendo Direct presentation tomorrow. So either the Zelda thing I heard is going to be stuck in tomorrow's Nintendo Direct, or there are going to be two different things, which would be crazy if we got like a big Nintendo Direct and a Zelda specific Nintendo Direct just, 10 days apart or so, or less than 10 days apart potentially. Or maybe the Zelda thing just doesn't happen at all and there is nothing tomorrow about Zelda. But come on, there's got to be something tomorrow about Zelda, right? So a few possibilities in that story, but I think we get to see the Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild's successor tomorrow. I really think it's going to happen. I think it has to come out this year. I mean, the virus, the pandemic, the social distancing, the quarantine life, it's impacted everyone. Perhaps this game was set to come out in 2021 this year, but due to the pandemic and such, it's not. If this game doesn't come out this year, I'd be surprised if Nintendo doesn't say it was originally planned for this year. We apologize. It's going to just miss the 35th anniversary, but it's going to be worth it. We need a little more time, so we're aiming for March of 2022. Close to the 35th anniversary, still being celebrated as it, yet also celebrating the Nintendo Switch's 5th anniversary, and that would be cool. But I think we get to see Breath of the Wild 2 tomorrow. A new story cinematic, some new gameplay. I want to see the gameplay so bad on this one because, Breath of the Wild was a beautiful game. It still holds up really well. It's, almost 4 years old, in just 3 more weeks. And it still looks really nice. It's smooth. It's big. It's bold. It's the one game that if you had $60 to recommend someone buy one game to last them for hours and hours, I could say, buy this game and have fun for 500 hours, and you probably still will be enjoying it towards the end of that 500-hour run, and probably still have not picked up every last Korok and gotten every last thing in the game. It's just big, and it's a wonderful game. Yet it was built for Wii U in mind. And, partway through development, they shifted gears to focus on the Nintendo Switch version to make sure that it was set up right. And then they both came out same time. But Nintendo Switch is a lot more powerful than Wii U. So to have the groundwork done, to have the engine done, but then craft things from the ground up to fully take advantage of the Nintendo Switch hardware, I just can't wait to see what type of visual fidelity improvements that this successor gets, How much better are the shadows and the lighting and the animation, and Breath of the Wild was a special game. It's one of, if not truly, my favorite game of all time. I love it. And that would be kind of like I said, if we got to see Bayonetta 3 tomorrow, that would make the show complete for me. If we saw Metroid Prime 4 tomorrow, that would make the show complete. If we saw Breath of the Wild 2 tomorrow, that would make my show complete. Any one of those 3 games, that's it. 2.5 minutes of pure excellence from one of those 3 that I'm looking forward to so much. Everything else in the show, I'm sure, would be good, but one of those 3 would seal the deal. Like, that was absolutely worth my 50 minutes of time. I loved it, Oh, something else on the Zelda side, though. Some partnership talk, maybe. I don't think Zelda's going to be as big, as worldwide celebrated as Mario in terms of all of the different collaborations, but I could see something, whether it's getting some type of shoe deal, some type of presence at Target with an official clothing line of this, or Levi's, or here we're teaming up with Lego to have a special Zelda set where you could create your own dungeon, or here's the Master Sword in the stone, or here's Hyrule Castle, something different than we did with the Mario set, but here's some official Lego content. I could see them partnering up with some places, some companies for the 35th anniversary. Of course, another huge one for me would be if the rumored and then kind of almost confirmed and then shut down topic of the Legend of Zelda live action series on Netflix, if that were to be revealed tomorrow, I would absolutely lose it. If they showed a trailer and said, it's a 10 episode special, 50-minute per episode, one season, that's it, deal, telling a composite story of what the Legend of Zelda is, or a take on, okay, we're taking one game like Ocarina of Time or something, or Majora's Mask, Skyward Sword, since that was the first in the series, and we're going ahead and we're having this, the series comes out later this year on Netflix. Like, if that happened tomorrow, that would be tremendous. Even a CG movie. Speaking of CG movies, if Nintendo decided to show off any type of footage, any type of update, trailer, release quarter, release year of the Super Mario CG movie that we know is in development, that would also be big. But on Zelda, I could see some ports coming tomorrow, being announced tomorrow. We've got easy port, easy money maker. People would gobble it up. The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker HD, already done. Bring it over. The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess HD, already done. Bring it over. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. We didn't get that one in HD on Wii U. It has a lot of motion controls in it, but we've seen motion controls work with the Pro Controller, with the Joy-Con, whether you're playing in handheld mode, portable mode, tabletop mode with a Pro Controller. You could make Skyward Sword work. If you had to retool it to being right analog stick in conjunction with some swipe, holding a button and tilting, holding a button and pushing, going left and right, hitting YA to go horizontal, or hitting XB to go vertical while tapping the L button, it might seem kind of not the most ideal, but it's possible. Or just simply reworking some puzzles and tools, would it be worth it? I think so. If this happens, I would like the game to get a bigger visual overhaul than Twilight Princess HD. Something more like what Wind Waker HD got. I think that game had the overall bigger pop in graphical fidelity. Or even bigger than that, Would it be stealing too much of Breath of the Wild if you just kind of gave it that look? The looks aren't too dissimilar in the first place, so maybe not, but introducing people to this was the first story, canon-wise, of Zelda. This is the first Zelda. This is the first Link. This is pre-Ganondorf. You could see how, Demise became eventually what would be Ganon and stuff. I would love to see Skyward Sword HD come over. Some type of compilation. But what would the compilation be? Could there be a couple of compilations? Kind of like how Capcom has done with Mega Man games, where you have a few Zelda games on this compilation, this cartridge, a few on this one. Maybe. We've got rumors of Phantom Hourglass. Could we see Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass paired together, in which Phantom Hourglass would have to be, brought up to modern visuals. It happened before. We got Link's Awakening. Could they do that with Phantom Hourglass or Spirit Tracks, right? Give it that kind of treatment like Link's Awakening did? Maybe. Smaller budget. Let somebody else deal with that game. See, that kind of smaller game, a couple of these other titles that I'm suggesting, like a Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, or Skyward Sword port, those are possible to be surprise announced and dropped in the first half of the year. And if not, they're perfectly viable for second half of the year. And then comes the wishful thinking. As much as I would like it for 2021, I think it would be more impactful if Nintendo said tomorrow an announcement that, by the way, we are in development now for the celebration of when The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time becomes 25 years old in 2023, a full-on, complete reimagining of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And not say for Nintendo Switch, just leave it at that. So we could speculate for Nintendo Switch, for another platform, just say in development, correct? That, along with Breath of the Wild, is my favorite game ever made. And it's been that way for almost 23 years. I'm replaying it now with my kids on their new Nintendo 2DS XLs because I got them each one for Christmas. And yeah, so much of it still holds up really well. But I think the game deserves that grand remake treatment, that Resident Evil 2 style remake treatment, that Final Fantasy 7 remake treatment. Same game, same story, voice acting though, FMV, larger cutscenes, bigger size and scope of every area. Zora's Domain, not just this big, but this big, and with this much to do in it, and this many characters involved. Jabu Jabu, on the outside he's this big, but when you go into his belly, he's like this. Let the outside be this, and the inside be representative of that. Hyrule Field, bigger size and scope. Doesn't have to be a map as the size of Breath of the Wild. No, that would change up what Ocarina of Time was too much. But a big map, bigger. Same songs, orchestrated soundtrack though. Something unexpected, or perhaps expected at this point, if especially been watching my videos for long enough. A playable section of time where you could play as Sheik. By now, spoilers are out there. The world kind of knows who Sheik is, but a playable segment of action-oriented Sheik missions that take place between Link's kid and adult self, and a story that makes sense of, some of these chests that Link finds as an adult in these underground caves. It's because Link put them there, Sheik put them there in advance in these 7 years, so that when Link came to, he would have extra help, extra hearts on his journey and stuff like that. Sheik holding down the fort, fighting bad guys. I think that would be awesome. Getting some Zelda love in the game, Having some backstory on Ganondorf. Let's see this king from the desert that corrupted the Gerudos. Let's see some backstory on him. Maybe even play as him, or just at least have some badass visuals of him wrecking havoc. See some of the demise of Hyrule, some behind the scenes. So both prequel stuff to him, what happened, how did he get so powerful, how did he get so mighty, and some, okay, in between these 7 years, what did he do? That's the Zelda game that I want next. After the sequel to Breath of the Wild, that's the Zelda game that I want. And I wouldn't want it this year. I want this year to be about Breath of the Wild 2. That game, I want to be announced now, but that the announcement is that it's in development, been in development in a while, but won't be ready until 2023 for its 25th anniversary. How does that sound? That sounds stellar, doesn't it? Oof. More likely, though, perhaps, a bundle of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, the 3D versions of the game, brought into HD 2-in-1, available on Nintendo Switch. So we're getting, you know, bigger, better resolution ports of these 3DS games based off of their N64 originals now on Nintendo Switch. I could see that happening. If that happens, though, this year, I don't know how likely my Zelda Ocarina of Time full-on remake wish is. It's just that that game was so special, and it's really stood the test of time. It still plays great. It still looks really nice. Even if you're going back to the Nintendo 64 original, it still looks good. I go over to my parents' house and I bring my kids, and we boot up my N64 classic title, and it still has a nice look to it, you know? Yeah, the polygons are basic by today's standards, but the controller, the heft of that rumble, the precision in the analog stick, the contact that you make with enemies, the animation of Volvagia, a lot of that game still looks really good, and it's really fun. Having it remade and done right would be breathtaking. But if we get a simple version of Ocarina of Time remake this year, I don't know if we're going to get that one fully remade ever. And that would be kind of a shame, because few games truly deserve like that. That would be a remake for the ages game. Something that was incredible at the time, so polarizing. Like, I thought Super Mario 64 really could have used that. Talk about a groundbreaking game. Ocarina of Time, Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid. You know, we got a remake, but a lot of years have passed since the first MGS was remade to Nintendo GameCube's exclusive Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. A lot of years have passed, so the potential nowadays for that game to be seen in a bigger scope is quite staggering. Metroid Prime, or not Metroid Prime, well, Metroid Prime as well, but like I said, it's more modern of a game, so I could see repainting it like the Crash Trilogy sufficing for Metroid Prime. Resident Evil 4, what I meant to say earlier was Super Metroid. I know Super Metroid, a lot of people say, don't you dare touch my Super Metroid. But Super Metroid brought to Nintendo Switch in a new, awesome art style that pays respect to the original, yet looks completely unique from anything else out there on the market. You'd have to have just the right amount of new to the game, but you don't want it to look like every other, 2D, well-drawn, hand-drawn art game, right? It has to retain some high-level density pixel artwork, but that moves in such a way that it appears to be, liquid animated, and, keep the soundtrack, just crank it up to orchestrated 16:9, 1080p, the whole shebang. And that's a game that it went when it came out. I thought, this is a brilliant game. The level design, how you would find a room and there would be a secret in it, blow a bomb, find another secret, find another secret. Like, what game did that? There's a reason why Super Metroid is one of the greatest games ever made. That about does it for my big talk. Beyond that, this one's probably too early, but Resident Evil Outrage if this is indeed real, which sources are indicating that it is real, set to come out within a year approximately of Resident Evil Village's release date. If Resident Evil Outrage was shown off tomorrow, that would be big. Let's see what a built from the ground up Resident Evil game could look like with the RE engine on Nintendo Switch. It would be beautiful. This is the 25th anniversary of Nintendo 64. If Nintendo said, come June 29th, to coincide with Japan's 25th anniversary of Nintendo 64, worldwide to the NSO service, Nintendo Switch Online service, we are giving you the Nintendo 64 app. Oh, and it's coming with the following games, and more games will be brought to that service along with the NES and SNES services throughout the rest of the year, and that would be really cool too. I want to see Nintendo 64 get some love. Could they show off Nintendo 64 Classic Edition tomorrow? Maybe. That would be pretty neat. That would be an interesting case because the controller would probably be bigger than the console itself if it was mini sized. And then there's the port talk. Wii U still has a few games that didn't come over. Yoshi's Woolly World, I think that's an easy one that really should, because Crafted World was good. Woolly World was really good. A new Kirby game, maybe. Star Fox Zero. If there's a game that I haven't mentioned yet from a franchise that I haven't mentioned yet, it would be Star Fox. I want to see more Star Fox. Star Fox has been one of my favorite franchises and one of my most neglected franchises from Nintendo ever. I love the few Star Fox games that exist. A few of those, several I should say, are fantastic. Some range from being kind of good to okay. But you're looking at Star Fox, fantastic. Star Fox 64, amazing. And you look at Star Fox Command, good. Star Fox Assault, pretty good. Star Fox Zero, very good, yet it kind of had an issue because not so much the controls, perhaps a little bit unnecessary, but the fact that it didn't do anything to further the story. That 15-minute animation was fantastic, but the fact that the story was just an alternate take on Star Fox 64, which was a retelling of Star Fox, made me feel like, where are they going to go with this beloved franchise? I love the R-Wing, I have my R-Wing Polystone statue from First Four Figures. I love it. I like Fox, I like Peppy, I like Slippy, I like Falco. Good luck. General Pepper, Landmaster Tank, all of it's great. Star Fox Adventures, also great, but different. We got a little bit of flying in there, but not quite the flying that we wanted. But overall, great game. The Dinosaur Planet, meeting Crystal, that's all fun. But it's a game that I would love to see be made into something special. If they have to make it about space exploration, going to different planets, being on land, having a lot of voice acting, making it feel like a cartoon show, also going on R-Wing missions, and make it an adventure game / aerial assault game so that it could do better in the market, that would be fine. Really, I just want an awesome on-rails Star Fox successor that finally either rewinds way back to James McCloud and Pigma Dengar and is a prequel to the whole series of how the first Star Fox team united and just be nothing but on rails and, all range mode missions, or a proper sequel, and you'd have to pick, does it come out after 64/0/the original? Does it come out after 2, which we finally got, which is also awesome? Or is it after Assault or Command? When is this new Star Fox game come out? Does it retcon anything? But have it be advanced forward. And once again, either A, be nothing but a pure, excellent, focused, on-rails game with a good divide between those types of missions, R-Wing, Landmaster, and all-range mode, R-Wing, Landmaster. If you want to have a hook, make the hook 4 players in the Star Fox team could pilot R-Wings or Landmaster tanks in the same stage at the same time, talking with each other on the Nintendo Switch voice chat app or on their phone, some other device, and go through the whole quest together. That's your hook if you want to do something. I would love that. That would be awesome. I thought of that idea when I first connected Star Fox 64 plus internet gaming. Whoa, that's the game I want, But then again, I also think that would be great for Pokemon. Go through a Pokemon game, you and 3 buddies, and basically experience the show, experience the TV show, have a story progress like that, and you meet up, and the 4 of you are, walking around town together, around the whole game, taking your time, going through gyms. You could even have a different class where one of you is kind of more focused on healing, one of you on photography, one of you on battling, one of you on puzzle solving, something like that. Like a grand Pokemon game of that size and scope would be really cool. Set in a world that's kind of like Breath of the Wild, right? Boy, that would be special. But yeah, Star Fox tomorrow would be lovely. Punch-Out, even if it was Punch-Out Wii being ported to Nintendo Switch, up-resed, 16:9, and so forth, that would be cool. New Punch-Out would be great. F-Zero, long overdue. I hope we haven't seen the last of F-Zero. I think we'll get it again one day, but I don't know when. 1080p snowboarding, or Wave Race 64, or Wave Race in general. I think having a marriage of 1080p and Wave Race in one game where you can do both activities would be fantastic. A new Fire Emblem or Fire Emblem DLC. It's Fire Emblem's anniversary as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if I saw some Fire Emblem tomorrow. Could be a remake of a classic title. That's a good possibility. March is Animal Crossing's 1-year anniversary. We know we're going to get some big update, so I can see Animal Crossing being there tomorrow. Sky's the limit. It will be really fun to look back on this video that's almost an hour and 10 minutes long of hypothetical hype talk and see what I got right. Will Nintendo Switch Plus be revealed tomorrow and said that it's coming April 30th to North America, Europe, Japan, Australia, worldwide markets. A more powerful Nintendo Switch that's capable of playing all of your games, but brought to you in 4K. Developers could choose how they improve their games. All first-party Nintendo games will have the following improvements: backwards compatible, Joy-Cons work, but new Joy-Cons are coming out. You could buy the left Joy-Con to be, analog stick D-pad, or analog stick 4 buttons like the current ones are new Joy-Con colors, new Pro Controller colors. I can't believe we haven't had any official, just regular, on the shelf, able to be purchased Nintendo Switch Pro Controllers besides the typical, black one that's been out there for almost 4 years. Lots of third-party available ones, lots of cool third-party available ones, plenty of nice color Joy-Cons, and some Pro Controllers that have had special designs officially from Nintendo, like Smash Brothers, like Xenoblade, like Splatoon. But where's just my blue, my red, my green, my yellow, my purple, solid or atomic, clear? I want that. We went through everything. I don't think there's something that I forgot. Nah, I think I covered it all. Nintendo Switch price drops. That's one of the last things, I guess. If they had an announcement of, here's the system that's new, the Plus, when the Plus comes out, price drop to the two originals. Originals work in the new dock, but the new Nintendo Switch won't work in the old dock. Let me know what you thought. I just had a lot of fun talking. I'm glad I got to share my opinion, and it's locked on the internet forever. Hopefully you had a good time watching with me. Thank you for your time. This is Paul Gale from paulgalenetwork.com signing out with today's really fun video game talk. Bye.